of attorney is it's a device by which you can appoint somebody else to manage your affairs if you are unable to do it for yourself, or just to help you manage your affairs if you can only manage them to an extent yourself. Until 2007, you could only make what was called an enduring power of attorney, and anybody who did, those are still valid. You just can't make a new one of those anymore. Those dealt only with money and property. It wasn't possible to make a power of attorney to deal with your medical decisions and welfare, where you should live, for example, if you needed to go into a nursing home. So there was, in 2007, two sorts of powers of attorney were set up. They're both called lasting powers, but one's a lasting power for your property and affairs, so rather like the old EPA, enduring power. And the other one is a lasting power for health and welfare. And the beauty of them is that you can appoint the person or people that you would choose to manage your affairs if you can't do it anymore, rather than, you know, if disaster strikes, let's say you had a stroke, can't manage your affairs, maybe only for a few weeks, but during that period somebody has got to keep the show on the road. And the alternative to you having an attorney is that somebody will apply to the court for a deputy to be appointed. That's what used to be called a receiver. That might be a member of the family, it might be a family solicitor, it could be a panel deputy. There are 60 of those around the UK, or England and Wales, I should say correctly, of whom I'm one. The nice thing about a power of attorney is that you can choose for yourself, and it can be a member of the family, professional, combination of those if you feel that there are issues that a member of the family might need a hand with. And the attorneys, the way you make a power of attorney is that you fill in a form, basically. You can download them from the intranet if you want to. You can get them from the government site, the court's site. People do get in a tangle with them. There's quite a lot of bureaucracy attached to it, and you do need to make sure that you've got every I dotted and every T crossed in exactly the right place. You have to pay a court fee of £130 for registering power once you've made it at the Office of the Public Guardian, who then keep a light hand eye on things to make sure that nobody's doing what they oughtn't. And once the power is registered, the attorneys can then act, provided that the person who's given them that power is happy for them to make the decisions and can't make the decisions themselves. So to the extent that a person can make their own decision, they must be allowed to do that. You can just confer with them. If they really can't make the decision, then it's up to the attorney to make a decision in their best interests. Quite often people will appoint different attorneys for their property and affairs. Ideally you want somebody with a good financial head on their shoulders, from the people who might make the decisions about which nursing home they would go into, for example. It's more likely to be a close member of the family for that. Or should you be revived? If you're in a coma with no prospect of a quality of life after being revived, is that what you want? And who's going to tell the doctor what you want? And that would go into your health and welfare power. So it can be pretty extreme in what it does, but you can control how much power you give your attorneys within the document as to what decisions you'd like them to make, whether you want one or more people to make a decision, or whether you're happy just for one to do it. You can also appoint a backup attorney, so if you appoint somebody who then dies or goes off the rails or disappears abroad or whatever, you can have a backup attorney come in and take over. So they're good and flexible. I mean, in my view, you know, I think everybody should have one. People will say, oh, but I'm not old enough. But, you know, road accidents happen, sadly. Illness happens, sadly. And, you know, just because you're 20 doesn't mean to say it's not going to happen to you. Just because you're not wealthy doesn't mean to say that you don't have affairs that need managing. I've got a young lady, very young lady, who had a difficult time at birth. She's on benefits, she can't manage them, so I get to do that, to give her a hand with how to manage things and where she's, you know, to help her with where she's going to live and so on. So it's a good flexible system.